Hello and welcome. Hi, I'm author Grace Rolson. I'm a mother, survivor, author, coach, and strategist for moms required to co parent with a narcissistic ex or stuck in a high conflict custody battle with a narcissist. If this is you, you are not alone. Welcome to my work. Welcome to my survivor wisdom. I hope you get something out of this presentation. If anything, the main message here is for you to aim to be the healthier parent, the safe parent, the parent who does the healing work, who changes, who makes good decisions, who has support. I want to share with you some of the ACE study, which stands for Adverse Childhood Events. A study was done, and I have some of the summary here. But our goal as protective, loving, caring, motivated moms is to be the healthier parent. We can't allow the narcissist and his tactics and tricks and manipulations and the traps to emotionally or mentally destabilize us. So we have to stay sane through the insanity. If you're part of one of my private Facebook groups, welcome. I plan to have more webinars. Yes, the tactics of the narcissist almost drove me crazy. I did have like an autoimmune flare from some of the triangulation and the poisoning the well and the circular conversations and the legal abuse and the coercive control and all of the different things that I went through for 10 years in a family court custody battle. None of that is today. I learned how to stop being the narcissist target of blame. I teach skillful means, I learn skillful means. I also learned nonviolent communication tactics and I focused on peace and healing. I wanted to make this bad situation a little bit better for my child, and that meant I had to do a lot of my own healing work. So, self healing work is some of the most important work we will ever do. That might be a recovery program, that might be a DV counselor. I'm not sure what that means for you. You might need a therapist, but our healing or lack of healing affects our children directly and indirectly. So, our aim is to be the healthy parent and be the healthiest parent that you can be. And a lot of it is about boundaries, and I teach a gray walling method or my castle and curtain method to block out a lot of the abuse and to stop a tug of war with a narcissist and not go toe to toe with an abuser directly. I teach, I educate, I encourage that you get support. I hope that I empower you and equip you with the tools you need to endure this, be strong and resilient, and actually come out of this smarter and stronger than before. So, just a full disclaimer, this is not direct advice. These are helpful tips based only on my thoughts and opinions. I'm not a mental health professional, not a lawyer. I'm not a professional of the family court. I can't give you legal advice. I can't give you therapeutic advice other than to get legal advice and get the right supports, especially specific to narcissistic abuse. And child custody situations vary across countries and states. You've got to look up your own best interest factors. So use your own good judgment when watching and listening to this presentation or watching this video on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Take what's helpful, leave the rest for maybe later. And I'm here to help all the moms that are going through this situation. I say if you are ready and willing to learn and do the work, not just learn, and not apply anything, but actually get the support you need and the sit down strategy you need to start applying good principles to your case. I'm here to teach, coach, and mentor. Learn all you can because knowledge is power. My background is loving and leaving an alcoholic and going on to endure a family court custody battle with my ex, who was a narcissist. Still is. Personality disordered people are very disordered. That's what I learned. You might be learning that right now. And the narcissist tends to thrive in the drama, trauma, and chaos they kick up, and we tend to barely survive it as loving, caring empaths. So if you can relate, keep listening. I do have a Spotify if you want to sign up to listen to that. I say learn, heal, and grow, but learn, heal, and outgrow the narcissist. Outgrow the old you that was attracted and put up with abuse, or somebody like this. So, outgrow the narcissist. You're welcome to come over to my website. My first book for the moms is Co Parenting with a Narcissist, 7 Self Rules to Stay Sane. That has tips, tools, and strategies. Same thing with my second book, How to Fight a Narcissist in Family Court and Win, Super Smart Strategies for Success. I'm trying to include my Get the Right Lawyer guide in all my books. They're in some of them now. My third is Co-Parenting with a Sociopath. My fourth is How to Survive a Custody Battle when the family courts force you to co-parent. So my newest is Tame the Narcissist, 10 Keys for Better Co-Parenting to Create Peace and Protection Using Strategy and Skillful Means. So learn the strategies, gain the skills. You can pick up this new book on Amazon, and we have to learn to navigate around the narcissist before we can actually tame our own reactions and even think about taming a lion. Like I teach about what lion tamers have to know about what they're trying to accomplish. But you need to know that the narcissist has a lot of tricks, tactics, and traps and manipulations, but we need the strategies, the skills, and the self rules. And the self rules is boundaries with ourselves. Places we will go, places we won't go. Are you oversharing, over explaining, over talking, defending, justifying, making just on the defense all the time and always triggered into being an emotional reaction. So narcissists do this to their victims, and we can become very highly triggered. Welcome to my work. My website is here at gracerolson.com. My blog, if you hit the drop down, there is How to Co-Parent with a Narcissist and Start Creating Some Peace for you and for your child or children. So, welcome to my work. I have a lot of blogs that are helpful. I have power tools in there. I have blogs to let you know you're not alone, ways you can heal from narcissistic abuse, because, our healing is very individual. Just because our cases and our backgrounds are unique, even if it's very eerily similar. So, welcome to my work. Check out my gray walling. There's some samples of the guides you can buy individually on my digital for my digital products, or these are all in my books. So let's talk about the ACE is the adverse childhood experiences. So this is from the CDC website. And the adverse childhood experiences can have long-term negative impacts on the health, opportunity, and well-being of children. So what we want to do as moms, what our mission as moms is to reduce the number of ACEs a child experiences. Obviously, we want to prevent child abuse and neglect. That's part of one of my missions. But we also want to lower these adverse childhood experiences as best we can in the face of many family court failures and uneducated judges and incompetent or unethical GALs or professionals or therapists who don't get it. So if you're up against all of that, just know you're not alone. And these adverse childhood experiences are common in these situations because we're dealing with someone who's personality disordered when we're dealing with a narcissist. So what are they? They are potentially traumatic events that occur in childhood from birth to 17 years. And some examples are experiencing violence, abuse, or neglect, or witnessing violence in the home or community. So you probably have some ACEs in your past. I know I do. I don't think anybody gets out of life unscathed. And I want to talk about them because this is what we need to raise our awareness about as moms. of what are we exactly trying to do, and we are trying to prevent the ACEs, trying to stop them. Um, Adverse childhood events are traumatic, and the more trauma, the more effects. And we can heal from narcissistic abuse. And if you're in the healing process, you know how challenging it is, how long it is. But experiencing violence, abuse, or neglect, this is all quotes from that CDC website. Having family members attempt suicide or die, all of these are aspects of the child's life and environment that can undermine their sense of safety, stability, and bonding. And some of the examples are growing up in a household with substance use, mental health problems, instability due to parental separation, instability due to household members being in jail or prison. And these are all examples, not a complete list of the adverse experiences. So there's many other traumatic events that could impact the health and well-being of our children. This can include not having enough food to eat, or being or experiencing homelessness or unstable housing, or experiencing discrimination. So, some quick facts and stats, they're common. And about 64% of adults in the US reported they had experienced at least one of the ACEs before 18. Some of the struggle, I just want to jump in, can make us stronger, but too much struggle can really hinder us, as you'll see in the rest of this study. So 1 in 6 reported they had experienced 4 or more. 3 in 4 high school students reported experiencing 1 or more ACEs, and 1 in 5 experienced 4 or more ACEs. And ACEs were most common among high school students, where emotional abuse, physical abuse, and living in a household affected by poor mental health or substance use was the problem. So, preventing ACEs could potentially reduce the many health conditions that show up in these children when they become adults. So, depression and addictions for themselves. So, if we can prevent these ACEs, these adverse childhood events, we can maybe prevent some of the adult health issues they experience later on as the effects of those. So, preventing ACEs, they believe, could reduce suicide attempts by high school students as much as 89%. Um, Addiction or use of prescription pain medicine that's being misused, feelings of sadness or hopelessness. So, some people are at greater risk of experiencing 1 or more ACEs than others. So, while all children are at risk of ACEs, numerous studies show inequities in such experiences. And these are linked to historical, social, and economic environments in which some families live. So, is your child at risk of ACEs when one of their parents is a narcissist, narcissistically abusing the other parent? I would say yes, just using common sense, not as a scientist, but um, I know this is what happened in my case. You might have an idea that this is what's happening in your case. And then there's some vulnerable populations where the ACEs were highest risk. So ACEs are costly to the society we live in. They're costly to us and our household, but also the whole government, because there's an economic burden. Some of the outcomes of what happens to these children, they're not good. And so this is a trigger warning. If you don't want to hear anymore, you can pause and just know that we are trying to prevent adverse childhood experiences. We probably can't prevent all of them, but if we can minimize the damage, abuse, or neglect, or stay mentally stable through the insanity and get the support we need to endure co-parenting with our abuser, because it's being required by court, we can ask for lawyers to safeguard transfers, supervise exchanges, have legal representation, use a DV agency. So I'm going to continue with some of the outcomes. So any amount of ACEs increase the risks of all kinds of terrible things. And they have a lot of references. If you go to the website at the bottom, you can check all of these. So there's all kinds of risks from sexually transmitted diseases to addictions to teen pregnancies. And then later on, cancers and diabetes and heart disease and suicide. So we don't want that for our children. So we have to stay aware of this is what is out there. This is a potential from too much trauma. And there's all kinds of social detriments that can happen from the toxic stress and not having any support and resources. And it can even negatively affect children's brain development, immune system, stress responses, decision making, and learning. So, growing up in toxic stress may have difficulty formulating healthy and stable relationships in the future. So if you have become aware that you were attracted to the narcissist because your father was, or you were treated poorly by a parent yourself, and you accepted unacceptable behavior, or you let yourself be lied to, just know that this is now going to go into a cycle where the children, that's what they're used to if they have to spend significant time with a narcissistic abuser. So you can just see that the pattern can play out, but the hope is that we can stop the pattern. And this isn't a guarantee. Like, having trauma isn't a guarantee that you're going to have all these negative things. It's just there's a correlation here, and statistically, based on this study, they're finding that there's a strong probability, if this is what the child's childhood is full of trauma, drama, chaos, you can get outcomes that are not good. And so, effects always pass down to children. I mean, but we can also pass down our strength. So there are consequences to every choice we make as moms. And we want to pass down the effects of our healing work, the effects of being smart, stable, strong, keeping our sanity. We want to pass those down to our children because, I mean, it's well known that our healing affects our children directly and indirectly, and we want to pass on the good. We want to stop the cycles of abuse, and family courts currently are not able to do that and detect it in all situations. And many lawyers have failed protective moms. So if that's you, you're not alone. You may have to strategize around and navigate around not just the narcissist, but the family court system, the lawyers. And I have a lot of guides and tools on how I had to navigate around those failed systems. So we want to watch out for these outcomes and work on prevention so they can be prevented if we have some strategies. I mean, not all, but there's hope that prevention can stop some of the negative outcomes, and by addressing the risk factors. So if you look here, it says creating safe, stable, nurturing relationships and environments for all children prevent ACEs and help all children reach their full potential. These relationships and environments are essential to creating positive childhood experience, and we all have a role to play. Can we buffer some of the narcissistic abuse? Can we maintain a supportive, loving home and stay focused on our child's safety and needs rather than going off into our own trauma responses? Yes, we can work on our healing and ourselves, and we can aim to put our children first, along with our health, our wellness, and our healing, and not try to compete or keep up with the narcissist, not get in a tug of war or an ego battle. I mean, there are a lot of sacrifices that us loving moms have to make based on the choice of partner we had back at the time that we had a child with someone personality disordered. So Yeah, I've found there's a lot of paying my dues, and it takes, I know they have a saying, if you walk 40 miles into the woods, you got to walk 40 miles out. So we're trying to get our children safely to the age of 18. So I teach moms my sort of thriver wisdom to ask the right questions, like how can you make a bad situation when co-parenting with a narcissist? So I say, watch out for trying to say how to get the narcissist to do something we want. Watch out for that. And you're really focused on the narcissist if you're so badly trying to get the narcissist to do something. I mean, if it's super important, you would want to run this by a lawyer. If it's something about child safety or their child's needs, run it by a lawyer. Maybe you ask the judge uh, to do things. And that's my 20 wants list instead of asking the narcissist. And it comes from your lawyer and not from you directly to your abuser, who often likes power and control. So, I also have a lot of self reflection questions, like if you're required to co parent with a narcissist, is your child at a double disadvantage? Like, are you a loving mom in severe emotional trauma while the father is an abusive narcissist? Our self healing work is some of the most important work we will ever do. Our healing or lack of affects our children. It can affect our children. It probably affects our children. It most likely affects our children. We might not even see how stressed out we are as a mom when our child asks us a simple question like, where's the almond milk in the fridge? And you just spent a whole week battling the narcissist in court and dealing with your lawyer and all that stress, and you blow because you didn't have time to go make sure almond milk was there, or the child doesn't have the breakfast that they're used to, and so it throws their day off. So just make sure you're not inadvertently harming your children or your custody case with a reactionary trauma responses. You have to self-reflect, get the support, seek it, or continue healing. Get a team, simplify your life. I know we want to have a life after all that abuse, but we maybe can't move on as fast as we like. We may have to just heal and take time to be by ourselves, become independent before we run on into the next relationship or have more children. We may have to really think about our choices in life and think about being the healthy parent and what that means. If you're in a custody battle with a narcissist, I have another survivor tip. To be more effective, take your emotions out of the custody case. So, this is in general. If your lawyer says being emotional in court is part of the strategy, by all means, listen to your lawyer if you believe in the strategy. But in my experience, in my case, I found that approaching my custody case very businesslike helped me cope, kept me clear, helped me stay sane. The atmosphere of the family court for me wasn't a therapy session for all my pain to be revealed, but rather a legal setting, very non emotional. And when I showed up emotional, I lost my power to my emotions. And so I inadvertently appeared unstable to a judge. And I think the judges, they kind of grow tough to the emotions and the tears, and they look at just what's in front of them. And they grant parents rights, or they try to make best interests of the child decisions, but we're finding they're more getting pressured to give parents rights and to uphold court orders. I have a free Substack newsletter if you want to learn more about navigating around the narcissist. I have another free video for strategies dealing with a narcissist as a high conflict co parent. I have a Get the Right Lawyer guide with a 20-question attorney interview worksheet, all aimed to get you thinking more strategically and having plans and organization. I have the 20 wants list strategy, making lists, gaining instant leverage. It's a power tool. It helps moms stay on track. And I have a bonus guide on how to frame them so you're positioning yourself correctly. If you're using social media, just assume that social media could be used against you in a court of law. So be careful and welcome to my work. I hope that this was helpful. I really would like to see the moms aim to be the healthier parent instead of be exposed, destroy the narcissist, or win against a narcissist. Um, Giving the child one healthy parent can help them. I've seen it myself. If I become emotionally destabilized or too stressed or too involved, my child picks up on that, even with all my recovery. So there are some great recovery programs, and those can be Al-Anon, ACOA, or CODA. They're 12-step free healing programs. There's DV agencies that run support groups and have free counselors available if you're dealing with abuse or post-separation abuse, or you're in the legal abuse situation. So getting help and learning, knowledge is power. So learn all you can. If you want, pick up my first book. It's on Audible, so you can listen if you don't have time. It's the story of when I lost, and then I went back to fight in family court, not wanting to fight, wanting peace and wanting fairness. But I found that the legal system was a legal system, not so much a justice system for me. So just remember that my story might not be the same as your story, but if you're thinking about children, this ACE study has really helped shed light on why we want to prevent child abuse. It's kind of obvious that we would want to prevent child abuse, but some of this fight can make them stronger. And just like our struggles can make us stronger than before if we overcome them and we learn from them. So continue learning, healing, and growing, and I'll see you in the next video.